Oh, yeah. Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. Today's September 11th, and I couldn't help but think of a great topic for today, and that would be how September 11th changed the entire world as it relates to chemtrails, contrails, plane farts. Hashtag Serious Clouds Matter. Today we're going to talk about how 9/11 changed the entire scientific world as it relates to the cloud conundrum and the only visible weather modification and geoengineering going on today over your house every single day and why it's important. This is one of those topics that some of my longtime climate viewers may, you probably heard this before. We're going to put a little spin on it. You may not have heard before, but it's an important topic because there was a monumental shift in how the public perception, the mainstream media portrayed the contrail induced cirrus cloud problem, the clouds created by commercial aviation. Now, I know you've seen them over your house. You've seen probably thousands of photos online, crisscrossing grids in the sky that eventually fan out and black out the sun. Today, we're going to get to the facts. Before we do that, I just want to remind everybody that this goes out live. I'm going to be doing my call-in show. We will be taking calls in a little while. Just let me get through a couple things first. But if you're watching this elsewhere, because this does get mirrored to BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, God forbid the Silicon Mafia YouTube overlords deem me unnecessary and to delete this channel. Everything is mirrored over on there. You can find all of those links at connect.climateviewer.com, as well as ways to support me. And I'd like to say, just personally, some of you may know about 3 weeks ago, I started a job because donations have pretty much dried up. And I understand the economy is shit, all of that. But regardless, right now I get my first paycheck this Friday, and your donations strictly to my PayPal would be more appreciated now than ever. So you can find that on connect.climateviewer.com. It is paypal.me/climateviewer or jim@climateviewer.com is my PayPal. Anybody sending support this week, I really would appreciate it. My daughter just celebrated her 13th birthday over the weekend. It was expensive, very expensive. But regardless, I should be drawing a steady paycheck come Friday, which is going to free up a lot of my nerves. And, I have a great, time frame to work. And I'll be able to make more videos during the week when I'm off work. I get off at 5 o'clock every day, which is great. I still get to spend time with the family, do my research, and hopefully make more videos like the one we're making today. I will be doing the call-in show, the chat show, every Sunday. So I was doing it on Thursdays, but, it ended up going so late that I would come in on Friday and it would just be brutal. So keep that in mind. Yeah. I understand super chats are great, but PayPal is better. YouTube takes like 30 to 40% of your super chat. So today, especially, if you can go to connect.climateviewer.com or climateviewer.com or climateviewer.org or weathermodificationhistory.com. They all have links to my PayPal. It'd be greatly appreciated. And if you want to be a part of these Sunday chats and be in the live chat or call in Know that that happens on my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey, come over there and check that out. And without further ado, let's get a perspective from CBS News or NBC News in 1980 on what was the going line of thought as it related to the chemtrail cloud conundrum in 1980. Take it away.
On clear days, you can often see long white lines being traced high in the sky. They are contrails of jet aircraft, actually long, slender clouds. Weathermen are finding them especially fascinating because a theory is being developed that those long white lines may be changing our weather for the better. Details from Roger O'Neill.
Maybe changing our weather for the better. 1980.
The exhaust from jet engines, usually seen as long, thin trails of white clouds behind high-flying jet airplanes, may be a big reason why there are 30 fewer days of sunshine a year in the Midwest now than there were in 1900.
30 fewer days of sunshine, cloudless skies, 1980. Boy, we've come a long way since then in the West.
The daily range between high and low temperatures has also narrowed.
The daily range between high temperatures and low temperatures, day and night, the diurnal temperature range has narrowed. This is a key point.
Other researchers studying cloud cover in 10 Midwestern states found a sharp increase in cloudiness with the increase in commercial jet travel. Particularly in the main east-west jet corridor, there were even more clouds.
And you can check all of this out on adsbexchange.com, where you can track all these flights in real time. There are highways in the sky, and that is one of the main highways in the sky.
Jet produces a contrail, or cloud, because its exhaust consists primarily of water vapor.
In the absence of natural clouds, given the correct atmospheric conditions, jet aircraft in high frequency can almost completely cover the atmosphere, visible atmosphere, with clouds.
Simonin says unlike most changes in the atmosphere caused by man, this one is beneficial. Clouds help farmers.
This one is beneficial
In the Midwest by blocking the sun. Temperature extremes can damage plants and speed up the evaporation of soil moisture. In the winter, city people benefit because clouds act as a blanket, preventing warm air from escaping into the atmosphere. No one is trying to make clouds now using jet engines, but this study suggests that jet travel is inadvertently making our days more cloudy. And someday, weather researchers may be able to use jets on purpose to change our weather. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Champaign, Illinois.
Let's hear that one more time, Roger.
Cloudy. And using jet engines. No air from escaping into the atmosphere. No one is trying to make clouds now using jet engines, but this study suggests that jet travel is inadvertently making our days more cloudy. And someday, weather researchers may be able to use jets on purpose to change our weather. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Champaign, Illinois.
So Roger be tripping. Nobody is trying to do this on purpose, but one day we might be able to, and it's beneficial because it protects plants from the sun, of all things. The idiocy of this 1980 NBC clip just shows the mindset of not only the scientific, technocratic, Illuminati freaking climate change retardation, but it shows the hubris of the mainstream media to think that this kind of thing's going to fly well in the face of the incontrovertible evidence that Roger be tripping for real. So when did this change? So we went from 1980, and it took 9/11, the crashing of a plane into the Twin Towers. We won't get into the speculation outside of that. The catastrophic events of 9/11, 2001, September 11th, 2001. As a result of that incident, all flights were grounded. And this is what matters, because you can't do science. You can't make observations of what's a real cloud and what's a man-made cloud, a plane fart, if you don't have a clear sky as a constant. You've got so many variables in there, but one constant is the atmosphere is always going to do what it be doing. But we need to see, what is a pristine atmosphere unpolluted by commercial aviation? What does that look like? And we got that opportunity, sadly, due to the events of September 11th, 2001. So let me go over here. And of course, now I do have an entire frequently asked question page on this NPC, right? That clip was by the journalist and Roger from NPC, the non-player characters news network. On Cirrus Clouds Matter, the shady truth about chemtrails. You could find this. Links are already in the details. They're in order, so you'll be able to follow along at home. But this entire page was published September 13th, 2013. It's been updated several times. Last time I updated it in 2017, and I'm currently updating the entire website. So this is going to have a whole new look in the near future. And you'll be able to go through this, and it has all of the, the typical questions that everybody wants to know, about how the language is evolved, what makes cirrus clouds, carbon black dust. Are they a bad thing? Because despite what the NPCs were saying, that they're a good thing, they are not a good thing. Why are they a bad thing? What are they doing about or with cirrus clouds? Are cirrus clouds melting the poles? Are aircraft geoengineering our skies? Yes. Are cirrus clouds filled with metal? Yes. All of these metals. What about on-off cirrus clouds? I mean, I see trails and they just start and stop. How does that happen? What's going on there, Jim? WTF? Can high bypass jet engines make clouds? Are jet engines emissions dangerous? In my essential reading section, in addition to when I went to Washington, D.C. and spoke at a EPA hearing on this, and bonus, when senior policy advisor Lucy Audette from the United States Environmental Protection Agency called me on the phone to try to talk me into not coming to the hearing, because I was the only person on the planet who decided they wanted a hearing. So because of me, there was a hearing. She tried to talk me out of it. It's hilarious. You catch all that on ClimateViewer.com/Cirrus Clouds Matter. So that brings us to our topic of the day. And that is how 9/11 changed the sky forever. And I'm going to read some of my beautiful writings right here. All flights were grounded after September 11th, 2001 attacks on the Twin Towers. A team of NASA scientists noticed that it got much colder at night than usual. They came to the conclusion that cirrus clouds generated by aircraft contrails were trapping heat at night. This study changed the world and sent the airline industry into a tailspin trying to figure out how to deal with their contrail conundrum. It is possible that aircraft contrail-induced cirrus clouds are trapping more heat than their CO2 emissions, meaning the airline industry could incur hefty carbon tax charges if they don't create, quote, less warming, more cooling clouds. Before 9/11-2001, one could make the argument that contrails creating clouds was just pollution. After this monumental study, scientists and geoengineers have been trying to figure out how to alter jet fuel to create clouds that not only cool the planet and have no intention on stopping the creation of artificial clouds or removing these clouds altogether. I know. I love me some puns. I'm puntastic, as Semper Fi is saying. So here we can see in skies normally crosshatched with condensation trails, the only contrails seen in this image on September 12th, 2001 were left by the plane returning President George W. Bush to Washington from Nebraska and several escort fighters. So we've got Air Force One, probably here in the middle, and some F-16s likely on either side. Other than that, the sky is damn near cloud-free. And this is a photo by Patrick Menace from NASA's Langley Research Center. And it's obviously in, I think this is 367 band on Terra Modus. But anyway, won't get into too technical. But bruh, they use this as a oh shit moment. This was an oh shit moment for sure. And you can see the white linear contrails that are soon going to fan out and make cirrus clouds here. And we get into the reference fest down here, which I'm going to go into in greater detail. But basically what Patrick Menace came to the conclusion was, wait a minute. So like Roger from the NPC News Network earlier said, the temperature range narrowed since 1900 to 1980 during the day. So from daytime to nighttime, there was a narrowing of what they called the diurnal temperature range. And this study by Patrick Menace, which I will show you now, all references available in the details, and we'll look over here. On weathermodificationhistory.com, September 11th, 2001, Airline Groundings, Contrail affects daily temperature range. Now, some of you may be going, Jim, why did you write a paper, write an article on September 11th, 2018, and you got all this stuff on ClimateViewer.com, including the video you made back then, and it's me looking skinny AF, bro. Look at that guy. I mean, for those who don't know, I had Graves' disease. I was getting really thin. But regardless, that guy right there talking with my boy Dominic Marama, chemtrail community will say that's absolute hogwash. But hey, man, facts are facts.
They wanted to, file lawsuits against the airline industry. And so there was 43 commercial airlines that were told they must end jet pollution and stop blocking out the sun, pretty much. And they would actually be held in a court of law. Like, that's how serious it was starting to get.
So what he's talking about right there is what we saw briefly, and you may have missed this. So I'm going to go back. We're going to go back to the NPC video.
On clear days,
and what you're going to notice is right about here. Where's the guy? Where's the guy?
Jet aircraft, actually, in the absence of net.
Richard Simonin from the Illinois Institute of Natural Resources. Why is this important? Because what Dominic was just talking about was that all the way back in 1970, the state of Illinois and New Jersey sued the airline industry over what they called smoke pollution of the sky, aka chemtrails, 1970. It goes back even further. So for all of you that, and I was originally in this camp too, that said, but wait, I don't remember, this sort of thing. I grew up, I remember white fluffy clouds and all that jazz. I can assure you that, in fact, and I'm just going to come over here real quick. You know, I made the same sort of video. If you go to my YouTube channel, you scroll down here to the Cirrus Clouds Matter section, what you'll actually see is the very second video is I Remember Blue Skies, with the happy little chemtrails, 1988 to 1997. And this is one of those common misconceptions, you know, like I do remember blue skies. I remember cloudless skies when I was in Boy Scouts and I was outdoors. My grandma was one of those people that literally said, get outside, go find something to do, come back when it's dinner time. So I was outside all the time, all the way through high school, partying in the woods. You know, we Southern. I'm in South Carolina. If you don't know, when you're in high school, you go out to the woods to get drunk. But regardless, I remember it too. The problem with that is that it flies in the face of historical references that go back to 1950s of cities complaining about clouds blocking out the sun, clouds coming from planes, fanning out and blocking out the sun. 1970, clouds over Illinois and New Jersey were so bad that they sued the airline industry. And that's what Dominic's talking about right here. Right here.
In 1970 is when it was reported in the newspapers, and New Jersey and Illinois, federal, I guess, agents, you could say, working on behalf of trying to stop the pollution in the skies when they were concerned about it, decided they wanted to, file lawsuits against the airline industry. And so there was 43 commercial airlines that were told they must end jet pollution and stop blocking out the sun, pretty much. And they would actually be held in a court of law. Like, that's how serious it was starting to get. Because at the time, 70% of all the smoke pollution from airlines came from only 3,000 existing airlines. And so that's quite a bit from just such a small group of, from just 3,000 commercial airlines is quite a...
especially when you consider that today we're up to 110,000 flights a day. This was 1972. That's pretty freaking nuts.
And they only give them 2 years and to make these changes, which I thought was pretty crazy, considering even at the time there was a lot of airplanes already in the sky, more than 3,000. So to then have all these changes to the airlines to be asking the airlines to do that in 2 years is just, it's almost impossible, right? So, and we know why it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So the guy that you see in the video here from the Illinois Institute of Natural Resources, after they failed with their lawsuit against the airline industry, the Illinois Institute of Natural Resources actually made an entire division devoted specifically to studying the contrail issue, the jet farts, the plane farts, the cirrus clouds created by planes. That's why there is a Richard Simonin talking on the NPC video that we just watched at the Illinois Institute. Small world, isn't it? So I said all this to go, you may be asking, well, Jim, why do you have that and then you have this? I mean, why is it in two places? Well, weathermodificationhistory.com, I created it specifically to separate my opinions from just the references. So weather modification history, you'll see a lot of stuff repeated on ClimateViewer.com and then on weathermodificationhistory.com. The difference is this was literally updated July 9th, 2021, and it's just the facts. It's not about, my opinions or anything like that. It's all the references with quotes and all of that jazz. So the grounding of all commercial aircraft within the U.S. airspace for a 3-day period following 11 September 2001 terrorist attacks provided a unique opportunity to study the potential role of jet aircraft contrails in climate. Contrails are most similar to natural cirrus clouds due to their high altitude and strong ability to efficiently reduce outgoing infrared radiation. However, they typically have a higher albedo than cirrus. Thus, they are better at reducing the surface receipt of incoming solar radiation. Let me translate. So what he is saying is that while they do solar radiation management, albedo is reflectivity. While they have the ability to block incoming solar radiation, as he put it, they are better at reducing the surface receipt of incoming solar radiation, the receiving of energy from the sun at the ground. However, they also trap heat, which falls into a whole nother category most of you probably never even heard of, which is called Earth radiation management. Now, this is where it gets a little more complicated, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go into the references. So I ended up, as a result of this, talking to, several different scientists about this, among them Dr. Rangasai Halthori, and you could actually see his entire interview I did with him right here. And this was an interview. I made it public domain with the head of the Aviation Climate Change Research Initiative, Dr. Rangasai Halthori. And, I explained to him, asked him some questions. He answered each of these right here. And on there, you could see more. Let me see if I said, what do you think Ulrich Schumann meant when he said less warming, more cooling contrails predictable for operational control? He says, I'm not sure where he says that, blah, 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 even though I sent him all the references in advance. And he says, contrails during the day cause cooling because of reflecting of sunlight back into space. During night, they trap infrared heat, causing heating. So it is a balance between the two time intervals. We would like to have more CICs during the day and none during the night. Now, this is Dr. Rangasai Halthori, head of the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, Aviation Climate Change Research Initiative, saying we want more clouds by day and none by night. This is as a direct result of what happened on 9/11 and Patrick Minnis's paper. Patrick Minnis and David Travis right here. David Travis actually posted this. This is the original article, publication. Regional variations in U.S. diurnal temperature range from the 11 through 14 September 2001 aircraft groundings, evidence of jet contrail influence on climate. If you grab this link right here and you just right click it, hit go to, it'll take you over to that actual publication and you can see it right here. Read it for yourself. But this paper changed everything because now suddenly the airline industry was on the hook for some serious contrail problems. And of course, I highlighted these in my EPA speech. And let me see if I can go to that real quick right here. And you can see those. Okay, that's a link to the C-SPAN thing, not what I wanted. So let me just go to ClimateViewer.com/EPA. Boom. I made a shortcut to it. I'll drop this link in chat for you guys. You can see that here. And I basically highlighted, a lot of the things that were said. But specifically, these are some of the statements that now came from the climate change, scientific community. Contrails formed by aircraft can evolve into cirrus clouds indistinguishable from those formed naturally. These spreading contrails may be causing more climate warming today than all the carbon dioxide emitted by aircraft since the start of aviation. The clouds are heating the planet more than all of the CO2 since we started flying. And that was Olivier Boucher from the IPCC. Reference number 11, it's at the bottom, and reference number 12. Another researcher said, a single aircraft operating in conditions favorable for persistent contrail formation appears to exert a contrail-induced radiative forcing some 5,000 times greater than the recent estimates of the average persistent contrail radiative forcing from the entire civil aviation fleet. I'll translate that. A single plane is actually creating more heating than 5,000 times what we guessed from the entire civil aviation fleet. Every single plane on the planet. One plane that we observed, and the observation of that is right here. You can actually see this image. Let's see here. I just go and open the image in a new tab. This was a E3 AWACS that was flying during the Iceland volcano that occurred. And at first you see the spirals where, it's an E3 AWACS, it's a radar plane, military plane, flying in circles, which slowly fans out and covers almost all of Britain. This is the UK, for those who don't know how to map. Bro, do you even map? So the fact that this one plane made clouds that big prompted that comment that I just read to you. And like I said, references down here at the bottom, 11 and 12. That's Olivier Boucher, Atmospheric Science, Seeing Through the Contrails on Nature and Climate. Published March 2011. And then the other is Jim Haywood and a whole bunch of other people. A case study of the radiative forcing of persistent contrails evolving into contrail-induced cirrus. And that link is right here. All these references are still available. So if you really want to dig into this, trust me, I've done my homework. Scientists don't want to go there, bro. Did I add the Z-map? I'm working on the Z-map. I'm working on the ClimateViewer 3D right now. In fact, I got a haterade comment on our video just recently about ClimateViewer 3D. So yeah, I'm working on that. I got the Z-map. It's bookmarked. It's bookmarked in my thing. We're not gonna bring that up. Don't get me off. Don't. No. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I'll never get through this. So the point being, this has evolved quite a bit since the 9/11 issue, and it was revisited, of course, in 2009. Lee et al. 2009 was one of the monumental papers on that. But if you go to weathermodificationhistory.com, you can actually come back to Contrail cirrus complaints begin worldwide, and know for certain that back in 1948, this was a problem. It has been a problem since the start of flying, commercial flight. And you can see all of the references down here at the bottom, and they start like this. November 16th, 1948, Mystery of Point Augusta Sky Trails. June 11th, 1951, plane vapor trails. The question of what causes those white trails sometimes seen behind planes traveling at high altitude came up for discussion at a recent General Electric Science Forum in America. The answer is they're in front of the wings compressed, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, you know, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's going to be a big problem. In fact, such a big problem that in 1958, the city of Palm Springs was complaining about jet trails' dim sun. And of course, when they asked the Air Force was like, we don't know. We don't know what's going on here. But then that changed very quickly. 48 was piston and engine leaded fuel, right? Yeah, there were a lot. Most people don't know this, but there are a lot of, there were contrails that were created by B-50, not B-52, the Boeing. The Flying Fortress? Anyway, World War II, propeller planes, Flying Fortress, B-17. Thank you. My brain just snapped into gear. B-17 Flying Fortress had 4 engines, propellers on it, and would make clouds just off the propellers. Okay? With a little bit of exhaust behind it and some propellers, big long contrails. And that's a bad thing because you don't exactly want to fly over Germany with big white stripes pointing directly at your bombers that they're trying to shoot down. That's stupid. But anyway, as you know, Cooper Wired thought our entire economy is dependent upon the tourist trade, which is predicated on our bright sunshine and warm climate. Recently, our sky has resembled a mob of exuberant skyriders performing an aerial circus. Quote, the contrails are not disappearing, but are breaking down into a haze and creating a cloud-like appearance in the sky. 1958. To which, this is another about the exact same thing. This is from the Ben Bulletin, 1958. And then the Air Force responded to this. Let me come back to this real quick, because this is absolutely priceless. Open image in new tab. Let's go there. Not that button. It's this button, and boom. Not that big. Let's not go to full size. These are very big images created by Dominic Marama, who we were talking about earlier. Air Force gives village 2 choices: live with the trails or move. And you can see right here, city councilman, chamber of commerce manager, chamber president, talking to Brigadier General Prescott M. Spicer, who's giving them the dress down, going, look, guys, if you don't like the freaking plane farts blocking out your sunlight in sunny Palm Springs, California, well, you might want to move the damn town, you see, because this happens to be a major freaking highway for airplanes. So you're actually at the crossroads of like all of these highways in the sky. So we're going to poop all over your sky. There's nothing you can do about it, see? And if you don't like it, put your dukes up. And that's it. Let's face it, men, said a crisp talking, star-studded general. You'll either have to live with the vapor trails or move the city of Palm Springs, see? I'm not making this up. It's right there. I mean, that you see it, right? Like, so the newspaper articles, they don't lie. The resort area, it appears, is known as the Palm Springs intersection, the freeway interchange of all West Coast aerial traffic. 1958. So this has been going on since they started flying. 1980, the NPC News Network. We saw it. You saw it. They said, well, it's a good thing. because it like protects the crops and all that stuff from, you know, all of the like the sun and stuff. We don't want to, you know, have the sun like burning up our corn and stuff. But here we see that, you know, this problem's been going on all this time. 1980, they were still trying to keep up the charade. 1970, they got sued over this. The airline industry. What did they say? Please don't regulate us, Department of Transportation. Please don't sue us, State of Illinois and New Jersey. We will fix it. We will fix it our damn selves. And did they? No, they did not. And we can see that here. Come back over here real quick. Boom, 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 boom. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff in the artificial clouds archives. Artificial meaning man-made. Man-made clouds. Get it? Pretty simple. Not using their words. Anybody's words. Break it down to the simplest terminology possible. So, U.S. Navy creates and destroys clouds using carbon black, 1958. Same year that those guys were saying, you gotta live with it, see? Meteotron jet engines create clouds and tornadoes. Pretty fascinating photos there. Restoring the quality of our environment. A report to JFK that included geoengineering weather modification. Weather and climate modification reports from 1965, 1966. Where they said, hey, you know, we can melt the poles if we heat the planet up by 1.5 degrees Celsius. And, you know, water vapor and clouds and commercial aviation could do that for us. Facts. But right here, 2 states sue airlines over smoke pollution of the skies. Just so you guys know that I'm not making all this up, we'll come right down here. And we'll bring those images up so you can see it for yourself. Open image in new tab. And here is the one in question. U.S. to clamp down on jet pollution, 1970. The government will tell the nation's 43 commercial airlines Tuesday that they must end pollution of the skies with jet engine smoke by 1972 or face punitive legislation from Congress. John Volpe, Secretary of Transportation. And this is literally a lawsuit from the state of Illinois and New Jersey. Jet pollution hit. Illinois and New Jersey officials say they will not settle pollution suits against the nation's major airlines out of court, despite Tuesday's agreement between the airlines and the federal government to clean up jet aircraft exhaust. January 1970. Did it work? Did they actually clean up their act? We all already know the answer to this, but let's do this anyway. Chicago, Illinois, like the gentleman from the Illinois Institute of Natural Resources who was in our NPC video. 1981. Look familiar? Jets vapor trails altering the climate over Chicago. Jets changing climate for good or ill. The crowded skies around Chicago are causing cloudy skies and changing the climate along flight paths into the world's busiest airport. Aircraft crisscrossing the American Midwest are leaving vapor trails that eventually form wispy cirrus clouds, according to the study by the Illinois climatologists. You mean like this guy? So this is 1980 for this video. This is published October 1981. All of this is pretty well known in their community. I'd like to know what you think. Do you think there is a possibility that we will ever see the airline industry held to account for their cloud creating, plane farting, pollution making problems, because I don't see that happening. My last chat we had, we discussed, talking to the solar industry and hoping to get in touch with people who would, say, hey, dear solar industry, you're losing money because planes are making clouds and farting all over the sky. You can't generate energy. Therefore, you're losing money. And these guys are to blame. And they want to use all kinds of technologies to basically create clouds on purpose to cool the planet. They have no intention of ever stopping this problem. And you can see that right here. So 2 states sue over smoke pollution of the skies, steering hurricanes with carbon black dust. Nice little photo of a jet engine spewing out carbon black dust and steering hurricanes. This is that MPC video. It's in the timeline, so if you want to find it, all this is available at weathermodificationhistory.com under the tag artificial clouds. Artist needs to make shirts with cows on the ground looking up with a jet farting, and it's saying jet farts are the problem. I like that. Originally, I was talking to my daughter. She's an artist like me, but she's much more creative, being 13 years old. And I said, I want a plane kind of like this, with its back hunched over and a fart coming out, like a little fart cloud coming out, and it's got its wing up like this. Ooh, was that me? But yeah, the cows pointing at the planes going, it wasn't my farts. That's pretty witty. I like it. Chat. Shout out to Violet Ray for that one. Why am I not hearing this thing ring?
It wasn't my fart.
What's up, boss?
I like it.
Hey, Jim. Oh, wait. I didn't get your mute yet. There you go. How's it going?
What's up, Willie?
Happy birthday to your daughter. That's cool.
Yeah, man. She's stoked.
I come from the age of blue skies, but geez, they've been making them since 48, and that's way before me. So it seems like sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not there when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, I trust your resources and everything you're showing, but there's different factors that make them show up, and sometimes they just don't show up. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you see them
it's totally dependent on where you live too. Because here in South Carolina, we have extremely high humidity. It shouldn't be a problem.
I'm near a bunch of airports. I'm even in a flight lane up here. I'm as a crow flies, 20 miles from Bradley International.
Yeah. Well, atmospheric conditions play a major role in whether or not you get the clouds or not. And also it's a factor of how much water vapor is available versus how much pollution's already in the sky. Temperature plays a role. There's so many factors in it. So an example, if somebody lives in Virginia Beach, or around DC, anywhere near DC, you almost never get cloudless days. Having a cloudless day is almost unheard of. Similarly, on the West Coast, if you look at ADS-B Exchange, you can actually see the flight past the actual highways in the sky, where all of these things come through, and it's a damn mess. It is a bloody mess.
Well, because it's at a factor of 10 for every plane, or what'd you say, 5 or whatever? It was an insane number of one plane was worse than, or whatever. The numbers were insane for just one plane, and now we have so many more. That's why it seems worse for me, because I grew up and they were doing it. Apparently, it's been going on since forever.
Yeah, it's been going on forever, but it also depends on It depends on your location and how many flights that you get in that area.
Yeah, well, I've been
and the
northeast,
atmospheric
so
conditions,
there's
because
always been a shitload around me.
I'll bring it up on screen real quick. And, if you just look at what's going on right now, it's in freaking insane. I mean, it's just in freaking insane. So one of the major highways you'll see is like through here, down here near Texas, and you'll see all of these flights.
Yeah, you can't even see the states. Yeah, because there's so many planes up. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they were talking about with Chicago and all of that is this corridor right here. You're going to see so many flights that are coming into and out of like New York. This is up here, New York, New Jersey. You see a straight look at the line. There's a line. There's a highway. I mean, and there's a third one right there.
Yeah,
there's one here.
LaGuardia, Newark, and Bradley, around there, and then there's a bunch of little airports too.
It's insane, bro. I mean, look at this one. They're all curving in here to Chicago. So these are all flights. Yeah, these are all in real time too. You can actually see these suckers landing. As they're coming in, you can just watch them tick in, and it's by altitude, so you can actually see the color changing as they get lower to the ground. Them doing circles, having to get into a holding pattern. Where did they have to go to actually make that land? You come out here, circle around. You can actually see every single flight path for them. These are other planes.
Trouble, they dump the fuel too.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that they have them fly out over here. Most people don't know about fuel air dumping, but if you they always try to get it
too much gas.
Yeah, they try to get it right, like how much gas to put in the plane. But if they're too heavy for landing, they will literally just dump the jet fuel right out of the plane, and that shit is poisonous. That's why nobody's swimming here, baby.
You want to get some hydrogen powered planes or something. We got to get rid of this kerosene.
Well, they actually talked about a hydrogen powered plane, but the problem is the hydrogen powered plane, the tests of the engines, they actually create water vapor. So they actually made more clouds.
Too much rain.
It was like 10 times the amount of clouds of the high bypass, which actually create more clouds than the old style engines. So not only do you have a case where the older style
fuel ain't the answer, it's a whole different kind of propulsion.
Yeah, I mean, literally, they're going to have to get.
I was just thinking of less chemicals, but it seems to be that you want. I don't even know what. I want to ride on a lightning bolt or something.
Well, I mean, they've got this. The FAA and NASA have this program for the next generation transportation system, and they've got everything from like these solid body lifting planes that are electrically powered.
I saw a nuke like luxury liner thing.
Yeah. They're trying to come up with everything, possible. But even in all of the presentations that I've read about the solution to this, they're talking 50 years, like 30 to 50 years before they could actually get it. That's insane that it would take that long, to get to a solution. But we, like I said, it's totally dependent on where you live.
Way ahead, man. Aircraft are years and years ahead to shit we don't know about.
Yeah.
I mean, military's got stuff my wife still can't talk about, and she's been retired for years.
Yeah. That's a fact.
Craziness. We got it. So I don't know. It's not my fault. It's not your fault, I guess, but we're putting up with it. Arr! All right, Jim, you have a nice weekend. I can't believe that it's been going on. I mean, remember hearing about seeding back then, but the whole trail thing didn't make sense till this report. Thank you.
Well, check this out, and there's a little delay, but you'll see it. Right here is Palm Springs, and you can see over here.
Was where that one article was, right?
Yeah, that's where the article was. And he said, unfortunately, you're at like a major crossroads of all the flights, on the West Coast. And I think you can see that still to this day. The flights coming from east to west, Obviously,
Palm
you got
Springs,
Vegas.
Isn't that like a rich folk hangout anyways?
Huh?
Isn't that like a rich folk hangout, Palm Springs? Isn't that,
Yeah.
what was his name? Bob Hope used to, that was the place all celebrities went?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were all
basically.
private jets ripping around there.
Well, you can actually see that. I mean, here's a helicopter. Look at that. I mean, this actually has all the military. There's a Chinook, and there's a heavy lift helicopter. That's a Russian Sikorsky S-64. The sky crane. Anyway,
Sky cranes are cool. They use them for fire too.
Yeah.
They built them right where I grew up, next town over.
Well, they might
Those
actually
were
be
so
fighting a
big,
fire
man.
out here. I could go to
Like
ClimateViewer
one.
3D real quick and see if they're actually
They
fighting a
would shake
fire.
the whole house, kid. They lifted a house off a foundation to move it onto a like a big, 18-wheeler, set up a bunch of them. So
Yeah.
they trailered the house up because they're putting a bank in or something, and it was a historic house. And they lifted the fucking thing with that plane. It was the craziest thing you ever seen in your life. I was
Yeah.
like 5 years old or 4 years old or something.
Yeah, those
It
sky
was the
cranes are
coolest
freaking
thing to see,
insane.
that sky
Have you
crane.
you heard one then, right?
Yeah, you feel it.
Whoa, you can
Like
feel
like
it. I mean, it's like
CPR.
boom, 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 boom. Dude, the
Yeah, it
wind
was a
coming off
thumper
those
for
are
sure.
insane. But like I said, the reason why I tell everybody to use this one is because unlike every other flight tracker that I found, they've got the military flights on here. This is a Boeing C-17 Globemaster right
Is this
here.
Skyglass, or which one's this?
This one's called adsbexchange.com, and I'll actually I'll drop that in chat right now. You guys can bookmark this.
Yeah,
So
those
that-
are cool. I've seen a bunch of the Monkey Works does a pretty good show on showing planes going around.
Hell yeah. But this is my flight tracker of choice. And it's phenomenal because you do get to see everything. And
I'm surprised military, because usually they're like cloaked out.
well, that's what their mantra is. If you actually go to their front page, they say, look, we do not accept requests from the FAA or military to censor any of the data on our map, period. That's
Yeah,
freaking...
it's got to be available, so if you're a pilot, you don't run into them.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, all of this is provided by the public. That's why it's similar to what I'm talking about with the Environmental Modification Accountability Act and creating ClimateViewer sensors for your backyard, that we create our own citizen-powered network for observing weather modification, observing the clouds over your house. And I hope to make that dream a reality, because it would be similar to what you're seeing here. Citizen-powered monitoring of the skies.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Free
That's
from
cool.
censorship, free from Silicon Mafia, technocrat, globalist influence. And I think that's the only way forward. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You can look at the history. You can look at what's going on today. It's the same situation. Palm Springs is one of those highways in the sky intersections. All of these are flying right in here to Inglewood. As you can see, those are all the grounded flights, but they're all flying in here. And then there's a major highway that runs up and down California, up here to Sacramento, in San Francisco, any one of the international airports. And it's all the way. This is the entire coast. This is just traffic up and down the coast. So I'm not even showing it on the damn screen. You can see the clutter
Jim.
all the way up and down
Pretty
California. Appreciate the call, Willie. Good
And,
talking with you, brother.
You have a good. I'm glad you got a good job.
Yeah,
Get
man.
back to work.
You and me, bro. I got a good
Congratulations.
schedule. I need that steady check, dude. I
Yeah,
cannot
me
wait till
too. I gotta
Friday.
get
We
back.
so
I'm
broke
sure
right
you
now.
and I- All right. Good night. Good afternoon.
Love you, bro. Later. Which is a good time to remind you, everything that we've been doing today is free, open source. You could download this video. You could put it wherever. You could put it where the sun don't shine. And every article on weathermodificationhistory.com, ClimateViewer.com, ClimateViewer.org, all Creative Commons, non-commercial, 4.0 international, meaning, and you can see the link to the license in this video. So there's no way anybody can argue with you. Everything I do is free of charge and open source. So you're free to do with it as you see fit. Please give a link back to the original. All I ask is that you support my work, and especially this week would be really nice if you could hit up my PayPal. It's been a rough month. I'm finally going to get my first paycheck from my job this Friday. So hit me up on PayPal. Be greatly appreciated. Jim@climateviewer.com, or you can just go to connect.climateviewer.com, and the PayPal link is on there. I will drop that in the chats for you guys, because I know how much you are dying to support a brother. As one of my other favorite YouTubers says, I'm struggling over here. Help a bugger out. Oh man, all my Aussie friends will get that. Anyway, does anybody else want to call in? Because if you're going to call in, you might want to do that now, because it is Sunday. I've had a hell of a wide week, and we have had a great discussion about this topic. I hope that you guys will look into the actual history of plane farts, cirrus clouds, contrail-induced cirrus, all the things that they call them. How they turned it into geoengineering. Why the sky is actually getting whiter. If you scroll a little further down in the timeline, you can actually see this right here. Geoengineering with sulfur, jet fuel, and commercial aviation started 1991 to present. And the actual patents for using 2 jet fuels in one engine and one plane. Freedom of Information Act requests from the Air Force and the Navy. How the military intends to use clouds to do different operations. The September 11th groundings. And then another video as a follow-up, which we'll play right now.
These amateur astronomers planned on a perfect night of stargazing.
Can you unlock right ascension, please?
But overhead, jets are spinning a web of clouds.
There's a fairly fresh contrail forming behind that jet. It's already spreading out to form a wider cloud than it was when it came out of the jet.
As air traffic increases, so does the amount of exhaust released high in the sky. And what's been an inconvenience for some
I still don't see it.
is becoming a growing concern for others who say jets and their contrails may accelerate global warming.
We're really not getting to grips with this problem at all.
Only 3% of all man-made greenhouse gases comes from aircraft. But new research suggests that jet exhaust is 4 times better at trapping heat than ground emissions, with contrails playing a critical role.
Contrails form at high altitudes when hot jet engines pass through cold, moist air. The clouds spread out, trapping heat rising from the surface.
Those clouds can have quite significant warming effects.
This satellite photo of the southeast U.S. shows how contrails can blanket an entire region.
If you guys have not seen this photo, this is one of the most famous photos taken from space. That is an insane amount of plane fart trails. And of course, this is Georgia. I'm right here. I'm right here in Sumter, South Carolina. I've seen it. But this is an outrageous day.
It could be an influence that we really have to.
And there's Patrick Menace, the guy from the image I showed earlier of George Bush and his, on 9/11. Patrick Menace has been studying this, since before 2001. This video is from 2006, following all of the surprise, ramifications of, the paper that came out by David Travis. And all of this kind of spurred from observations made at Langley by NASA. But anyway, continue.
When air traffic was
it could be an influence that we really have to be concerned about.
When air traffic was grounded after September 11th, NASA scientist Patrick Minnis was astonished to see contrails from just 6 fighter jets cover more than 11,000 square miles.
We learned that one contrail can produce a very large cloud.
Other scientists noticed without commercial traffic, the daily temperature range widened by as much as 5 degrees. Minnis now believes contrail clouds increased surface temperatures in the United States up to 1 full degree between 1975 and 1994.
It's just...
Now let that sink in. That from 1974 to, what did they just say?
1 full degree between 1975 and 1994.
It's
1975 and 1994. That just the clouds trapping heat raised the global temperature by 1 degree. Now, I thought that everybody was telling us it was CO2. I thought that they were blaming you for burning wood, so much so that Oregon banned the burning of firewood. I thought it was cow farts. I thought it was so many things. No, wait. Why is this on CBS News in 2006? Talking to Patrick Minnis, admitting what we all know to be true, that planes are changing our climate. They are doing geoengineering. The problem is they are fucking it up for everyone. They're fucking it up for everyone.
just one of a number of aircraft effects that together could produce a significant signal.
Responding to that signal is a challenge for aircraft engineers who've been stalled on contrails, but have made progress in other areas. Boeing's next generation of fuel-efficient planes produces 20% less of the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide.
But we've already acknowledged that that doesn't really matter. CO2 is plant food. Don't be stupid. See how they try to change the subject?
Pound of fuel that is not used, that's 3 pounds of CO2 that is not emitted.
For now, flying lower would reduce contrails, but would increase noise.
It's a shame because there's a lot of treasures out there that people just aren't having an opportunity to see.
And fewer still may get the chance. One study predicts contrails will make ground-based astronomy impossible by 2050. Whether contrails will have a lasting impact on climate remains hazy. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
Now, you just heard what they said. Watch this. Okay, that's the tweaking the flight plans. I'll go ahead and bring that up. Contrails, how tweaking flight plans can help the climate. October 2021, about flying above or below the ice supersaturated regions, changing the altitude at which they fly so they don't create clouds. That's not what we're looking for here. What we're looking for is, you see, telescopes. All right. This. Telescopes worthless by 2050. And that's what they were just showing on the video we were looking at, which is where? Here. These guys, not so happy about it because, and they even reference this, ground-based astronomy could be impossible in 40 years because of pollution from aircraft exhaust trails and climate change. And climate change. And climate change. Oh my God. Just, they got to throw it in there. I mean, even the video we just watched in 2006, they focus, they tell you the truth about planes making clouds and clouds being a problem. And then they switch to, oh, but, you know, they're going to use biofuels for contrail control, and that's going to produce less CO2. But wait, who Who the hell's talking about CO2? Why are we even bringing that up? Here we go. One more time. Same deal. Ground-based astronomy could be impossible in 40 years because of plane farts making cirrus clouds and climate change. Aircraft condensation trails, known as contrails, can dissipate, becoming indistinguishable from other clouds. If trends in cheap air travel continue, says Professor Jerry Gilmore, the era of ground-based astronomy may come to an end much earlier than most had predicted. Aircraft, along with climate change, I can't even say the word. It makes me want to climate. Aircraft, along with climate changers, will contribute to increased cloud cover. Increased cloud cover. You either give up cheap trips to Majorca or you can give up astronomy. You can't do both. Jerry Gilmore. That's a great quote. So there's much bigger fish to fry. People don't realize how serious this problem is. It threatens the future of solar energy. If we're ever going to be able to be decentralized and be able to generate our own power, how can we do that when planes are making clouds and they have no intention of stopping doing that? Telescopes from the ground will be worthless by 2050. I'm willing to bet even sooner. I do not want my daughters to grow up in a world where their children cannot see the stars. That's horrible. That's Venus. That's a terrible place to be. And lastly, but certainly not least, let me find it real quick. Where were we? I've got way too many tabs open at this point. We're back over here on weathermodificationhistory.com. This is the Cossack contrail spreading into Cirrus, where they saw that one plane make all those problems. Fall streak holes and all that. Heart clouds, biofuels are listed for contrail control. Contrail cirrus cloud seeding and thinning, how they're going to make the clouds go away at night. And then us going to the EPA. That was an epic day. One of my favorite things I've done. But this one right here, commercial aviation creating ice haze or accidental geoengineering. The fact that not only are the clouds a problem, but they are creating, as Chuck Long suggests, that a high altitude ice haze created by water and other emissions from aircraft is responsible. Quote, I'm talking about a subvisual contrail generated haze of ice, which we do not classify as a cloud, but gives the blue sky a more whitish tint. And this is why I constantly get the question, does the sun seem whiter to you? It used to be bright yellow, dark oranges. What happened? Why is the sun so white? And the answer is, not only are planes making clouds that are trapping heat and causing all these other problems, these visual problems, it just looks like your sky looks like milky shit. That literally they are creating nanoparticles of ice, which are aerosols that build up in the atmosphere to the point where you may be able to look up and see a little bit of blue, just a little bit of blue overhead. But if you look at the horizon, off in the distance, everything is just straight white all the way across the horizon. So you can't change these facts. So Chuck Long kind of broke the lid off this thing. I have all of his presentations here, and you can see right here, accidental geoengineering, evidence of clear sky daylight whitening. Are we already conducting geoengineering? By Charles, aka Chuck Long, from the Cooperative Institute for Research on Environmental Sciences at the University of Colorado Boulder in 2015. And you can see it right here. Evidence of clear sky daylight whitening. Are we already conducting geoengineering? So not only are they making all these clouds that are ruining our weather, that are changing the temperature of the planet, officially, according to like at least 7 different peer-reviewed journal entries I've read, Greenland ice sheet melts more when it's cloudy, things like that. This is the one thing that nobody talks about, that the stuff you cannot see is literally changing how light diffuses in the atmosphere, the color of the actual sun, the light spectrum that we're getting. There is just so many layers to this contrail conundrum that most people aren't even willing to even entertain. All they want to hear is, Jim, just tell us who's behind the damn, chemtrail problem. We need to know who to blame, where to aim the laser beams. It's a complicated topic, and there's a lot of conspiracies out there. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It's no longer a conspiracy when Chuck Long from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Earth Systems Research Lab says, bro, we are geoengineering. This is geoengineering. Just the ice haze is geoengineering. And then there's the cloud problem. So more people need to focus on the facts, know the history, know all of these different layers of this problem, because there's layers to the shit player tiramisu, so that we can actually get more people educated, concerned, looking up, and then knowing what to do about it. These are conspiracy facts. And yes, please, like Chinook Valley said, please buy me buckets of coffee this week on my PayPal specifically, would be greatly appreciated. Or if you want to support me monthly on Patreon, you can do that on connect.climateviewer.com. I appreciate everybody who's supporting me on Patreon. I've been doing this 14 years, man. This last 2 years has been so hard. And as a result, my family has done a lot of suffering so that I can continue my dream of educating the public on these topics, working on my websites. I'm revamping ClimateViewer.com and ClimateViewer.org. So my blog and my maps, I'm combining them into one website. You have no idea how hard this is going to be. Nobody on the earth except for a handful of programmers could even fathom what going through over 80,000 external reference websites. Because like when you do a thing for a very long time, eventually it just piles up, and then you go, oh my God, now I have to go back and clean up the mess I made. No amount of money will ever cover the labor of love that I'm about to try to pull off. But I did it with weathermodificationhistory.com. It took me a year and a half, but weathermodificationhistory.com is done. It is up to date. Every reference has been double checked. I have literally downloaded the majority of the important files and put them locally on the website so they can never be taken down. Even if archive.org disappears from the internet, guess what, bro? I got you. Those files are on weathermodificationhistory.com. The next big leap will be combining my two other websites together. So the maps will be at maps.climateviewer.com. They'll no longer be on climateviewer.org. They will be on HTTPS. There will be, I know, where are the porn bots today? I'm so surprised, Well, to be fair, the porn bots usually look for, they look for when I have the chat up on the screen, like I do right now. And that's why I was doing a test today. And the majority of the time, I I intentionally left it off the screen. So I was just doing this and leaving it off the screen. I was like, okay, let's see if we could trick the porn bots into not showing up, because they don't actually spam links. Their name is the link. And YouTube really sucks at blocking any of that sort of stuff. It's pretty funny. But yeah, no porn bots today. It's a good day. So that being said, we care about, to you scientists out there, stop making clouds. It's bad. It's bad, okay? Stop with the ice haze. I don't like milky white skies and a white sun. It's bad. It's bad, okay? Metal. All these metals are in all of that ice and all those clouds you're making. Guess what? It's bad. It's just bad. It's bad for my health. I don't even let my kids play in the rain anymore because it's bad. So, blocking porn bots is racist. Racist. No. Porn bots do not have race, nor do they have genders. And I stand by that, chat. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. It's been another enjoyable rant on all those things I hate coming out of the rear ends of planes. If you found educational value in this, please gently smush that like button. YouTube hates me enough as it is. We don't want to, have them get triggered and do something rash now, do we? But if you don't see this here and you're watching this over on BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey, this does get auto magically mirrored without me lifting a finger to those channels. Please come over to YouTube and just, hold your nose, hit that subscribe button, helps out the channel and keeps me going. Otherwise, I've said it a couple times. I'll say it one last time. Hit up my PayPal today, please. I'm hurting over here. It'd be great. It's been a rough week, a rough month. Going a month without a paycheck, working a job is shit. Many of y'all probably have gone through that, so you know what I'm talking about. I got a check 2 weeks ago, but it was literally for the 1 day of training at minimum wage. So that really helped out. But anyway, we'll do this again next Sunday. I may be able to squeeze in a couple short videos during the week, sans the live chat where I just talk about some of the news, because I need to get back to doing some of these shorter videos because right now I've got so much news piling up. If you don't believe me, you should see my NERBS folder. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's right here. These are all the links from, I think, to right here. These are all the links that I've gotten in the last 3 days. That each one of them I could make a video on. Holy crap. So I always feel guilty because, there's never enough time. But I'm going to try to get this process down. I just reset up my entire streaming apparatus. My arm for my Shure microphone now comes from the side. Instead of having to move it, I can do all of this and I can actually rotate it because I got this new cool little bar right here, which I freaking love. So now I actually can put that thing over here and not have to move my monitors out of the way. And I got rid of the widescreen. I'll show y'all. I'm rocking with I'm fighting with that thing. Let's just leave it alone. I didn't give myself an extra. Make a note. Give yourself extra cable length on the webcam so you can swing it around and show people stuff. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I hope that you found some information in this. And, with information comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. So please use the information I provided to attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it. Catch you on the next Sunday. Bye. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.